Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Monday, May 9th, 2022. Hope everyone survived the Kentucky Derby. Wife brought me home a hat, and of course, at her weekend work gig, she pulled Strike Rich out of a pool and hits for $100. 80-1. Wasn't in the race until Friday. I'm still shocked. We brought on Sean Alvarez, and he had the 310 cold. He had a handful of horses up top with either the 3 or 10 running second. Had a try key with the 10 on top, with a bunch of horses running second and third, and no one out there had obviously the 21 and 80-1 to win that race. And it was quite comical because after the race, all my buddies are cashing tickets. The one and only Real Vegas Dave, Mr. Sharapan, hits an all button up top with a handful of horses second and third and cashes for $7,400. My buddy, my best buddy, Mr. Sean Childs from Sports Illustrated, put together almost like a dog play with alls and 3s and 10s to come back. He hits for $7,400. The list is endless. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them. Happy Mother's Day. A day late. Hopefully all the moms had a great day, and it's a tough day for me, but we survived. Was up at UConn. My daughter graduated yesterday. They put on a hell of a show up there, and I'm still smiling. He is a Husky forever, and my youngest, Kylie, will be starting her UConn journey in August. You know, we didn't have a show yesterday, and I feel like I have a million things to talk about. Shout out to my buddy, Billy Hewlin. Happy 40-something birthday today. God bless you. We're just like a fine wine. We get better with age. You know that. Just starting the back nine, God willing, and it's only going to get better, my friend. Happy birthday there. And let's bring in my co-host. I know he's got a lot to talk about. The little shit. You guys have won 6 in a row. You take 3 games from us at Fenway. Listen, I got kicked right in the you-know-what on Saturday. We had the Sox, and I went full game because I wasn't going to go up against Cease. Of course, they score a run in the 5th inning. Would have won the first 5, and then they bring in Robles and leadoff walk. Anyone who does baseball knows leadoff walks never end well. And then we get to extra innings, and it's round and round they go. Man, this is getting old. But let's bring him in from the Windy City himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir.
Morning, my friend. It looks like another 4th straight beautiful day over there in Fenway Park. You already kind of stole some of the wind out of my sails, but a nice 3-game sweep over here. I don't usually get a chance to gloat at other fan bases throughout 162 up until these last couple of years. So I appreciate you for falling in my path. But no, I mean, the crazy thing you mentioned on Saturday, the crazy thing about that series is it could have gone an opposite. That Red Sox had every opportunity to win any of those games or all 3 of those games. But Pivetta I think that was Saturday against Cease, right? Pivetta was fantastic through that game. And yeah, your bullpen, man, that's obviously a point of concern for you guys. But our pitching, I'm feeling pretty damn solid about it. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more with this week's slate coming up for the White Sox. But yeah, have to be feeling pretty damn solid about 6 straight wins with some fantastic pitching. Get Yohan Moncada back at third every day starting today, along with Joe Kelly out of the bullpen. So feeling pretty freaking good as far as after an 8-game losing streak a couple of weeks ago. So spirits are back to a nice level here in the South Side.
And listen, you can't win a division or a pennant or a World Series in the month of April. but you sure can lose it. And the Sox faithful, we're in dead last now in the East. And, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over, but in different is really, really crashed and burned. I go back to the Saturday before we headed to Toronto, where Tanner Houck and a couple other people could not make that trip because they weren't vaccinated. So in comes management and says, "Well, let's start Mr. Whitlock. Let's start him on Saturday and get him ready for Wednesday to face Manoa." And it has been nothing but a dumpster fire ever since. He was the piece that you could see two or three times in the week, whether it was for a hold, whether it was for a save, whether it was for 2 innings, and he was the glue that was keeping that back end afloat. Listen, there's some keys to winning baseball games, and we need a locksmith because we don't have any of the keys. The one thing is our starting pitching, our Rich Hills, our Walkers of the world. You talked about Pavetta even having a great start. They are doing what they're supposed to, not what they're
Right.
supposed to, over expectations right now. But there is zero timely hitting. The Trevor Story experiment has been brutal. And for you guys in management, that this was the easy, let's get him in for 140 million because we're not paying Xander 200 or 225 million. Yeah, I'll go back. Mookie wasn't staying. I mean, it's starting to get a little ugly here. And let's just say we're past the natives getting restless here in Boston.
Yeah, and I obviously you're a lot closer to the situation, but it kind of I get the same similar type of spiel that you just went on is a lot very similar things that I am hearing from the North Side faithful here in Chicago. You guys, along with the Red Sox, or the Cubs, along with the Red Sox, kind of in a similar position, right? Really, really struggling here through April and May. I would, obviously I give the edge to you guys with your lineup over theirs, but at the same time, it's a couple of proud organizations that are kind of seeing through the tea leaves and seeing a long summer here. So for your sake, obviously in a tough division too, it doesn't help either. If you were in my situation in the AL Central, you might be feeling maybe some optimism that you can pull something out of your ass here in May and June. But yeah, in your division over there, it really is tough to sell that you're going to come out of this hole, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was easier last year because the Yankees, were just around 500. It was the Rays that got, boxed the wire, and it was the Red Sox and the Jays battling. The Jays even were around 500. They had a late season push.
Right.
But this year, when you are staring up at every one of those teams, and the fact of the matter is, the Yankees at this point aren't going anywhere. We know the Jays aren't going anywhere. And the Rays with those arms, listen, in the city of Boston, I live in Cape Cod, an hour away. South of the summers are just like puppies, cupcakes, and unicorns when the Sox are winning. You could smell the sea salt from the ocean. Life, everyone's smiling.
Right.
We're not even to Memorial Day, and they're probably already saying, "Hey, when is OTAs and when do the Patriots start?"
Right, and I feel for you because I lived through. I mean, of all my teams, the White Sox are the only team that ever really had like a decade-long tough stretch of their organization from up until 2019 here. So I feel for you. I obviously I would have traded the last 20 years for the last 20 years, no question about it. But I feel for you for sure. As I meant to ask you, did that Luis Robert home run land in your driveway from I think it was Saturday night, the one that he hit over the monster? I mean, I watched that. I probably watched that about 100 times so far.
It cleared the Mass Pike. It was heading down Route 3 over to the Sagamore
grief,
Bridge.
man.
I mean,
listen, I don't know if you have felt this at all. Maybe he was kind of talking out of his ass. Steve Stone this weekend, I can't remember which day it was, the White Sox color commentary, obviously been in the game for a long time, played it himself. he was mentioning as far as the debate of juice balls, non-juice balls. He had a take where he wouldn't be surprised if there was like a mix of them. Every once in a while, you did get a juice ball where that's that home run shot that someone like Luis Robert hit, about 500 feet, and then you got another five straight guys hitting balls to the warning track without any type of success, regardless of the weather. So that conversation still moves along here. It seems like obviously as the weather's heating up, it's starting to jump a little bit more. But every once in a while, man, you still got these low-scoring games with not much pop coming off the bat.
Yeah, like 1-0 the other day.
Yeah.
Jesus. The There was I think it was last year. I want to say I read on social media, and again, it's the internet, so anyone can write whatever they want. I don't remember who it was and if it was a check mark or not. But Colorado had two sets of balls, and it was the humidor balls, the non-humidor balls, the juice balls, the non-juice balls. Uh, even Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins, I think it was on Friday or Saturday, came on Twitter. He goes, I know that was long gone and it just happened to just die. And he was livid. And so I'm not sure where this is going to go. I mean, I have said all along it was a 2-week shortened spring training. It was still cold weather.
Sure.
Pitching ahead of the hitting, whatever it is. I mean, I think the major league average right now is around 233-ish. So if you want my honest truth, I think the cream's going to rise to the top, and it already is in some cases. And the other guys, they either better wake up or stop bringing the kids up before you know it.
Right, and now I've mentioned with the White Sox case through a lot of their struggles we've been dealing. I still don't know for sure, but I would have guessed that we would have been one of the colder average temperature for game times through the entire month of April, and now obviously today here in the Windy City it's up over 60 and it's going to be a nice heat wave. So I think you're right. I think it's going to start changing here as the weather's going, and because I know it does for those Sox, that especially our home park, the ball is jumping whenever it's up over 70 degrees here.
I'm going to switch gears for 1 second, and I'm going to use my platform right here, and I'm going to spit a little venom. I despise people on big platforms, big stages with check marks that don't deserve them, that spit shit out of their ass, that don't know their ass from their elbow. There are a lot out there that I really trust, I respect, and I follow. But there's a lot of them that are there that shouldn't be there. And social media is just toxic at some points. And I'm just going to go and rant for 1 quick second here,
Please.
Riley. The Bruins down 0-2 against Carolina. And I will bring back the tweets if some of these people want to. If you want to challenge me here, guys, I know who you are. I will gladly timestamp those tweets and I will blast them on social media after this show. But the season was over for the Bruins. They want to fire the GM, fire the coach. This is pathetic. They got no Tuukka Rask to blame. And I'm like, guys, pump the brakes. That's all Carolina did. And we talked about it. They held serve at home. That's all they did. I said here, the Bruins are going to be decent favorites in game 3. And if they won that, they'd be decent favorites in game 4. They win game 3. And guess what? Sunday morning, you wake up, no Charlie McAvoy. The whole world's on the Hurricanes. The season's over. Guess what, jackasses? It's 2-2 going back to Carolina.
I love it. And not only that, but you get a 9-4, outscoring stretch over the 2 games in Boston after whatever it had been up in, through those first 2 games. You have to feel pretty damn good about that on top of it, as far as not only limiting them to 2 or less, but obviously pouring it in for a few on their own case. So shout out to you, my friend. I know you were beating the drum. I saw your tweet. I think it was yesterday. That was the game 4 yesterday. So are you feeling what's your thoughts going ahead now that it is tied 2-2 going forward for the rest of the series?
It's still Carolina minus 115 for our ECSI VIPs. We had the Bruins basically at a pick'em before the series started. After they lost game 1, we grabbed them plus 170. And I really wanted to have some cojones and I usually don't double down, but I really wanted to put a half unit on them. I think you could have got them plus 300 going into game 3, but I'm comfortable where we are. I hope that obviously McAvoy gets a couple negative tests and he's ready for the next game. If you put a gun to my head right now, I think it probably will end up going 7. The Bruins will have to get out early. the crowd in Carolina is just going to be guns a
Yeah.
blazing, where they have initially owned the Bruins regular season. The momentum's with the Bruins, but it just takes one bad period to flip the switch where Carolina wins game three and the pressure's all back on the Bruins for game six, excuse me. But I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling pretty comfortable where we are right now.
Yeah, I love it, man. I didn't get a chance to watch much of any NHL action with Mother's Day stuff going on yesterday, but I mean, you've got all four series yesterday tied up at 2-2. You've got a few tonight that can even up as well. So this next week of hockey is going to be incredible.
I shout out to our man, Mr. Marty Lowe. Good morning, Marty. Thank you for following us. As always, before you know it, we'll be talking a little SEC football and roll
Love it.
tide. So here we go there. Switch gears to baskets. Yesterday, Lucas said not so fast as they tied that series up. And I saw all the Suns people crying a little tears on Chris Paul's birthday, how he never should have fouled out that early. And basically, in a nutshell, said, it is what it is. We'll come back home. They'll take care of business in game five, and then we'll see what happens in game six. And the other game yesterday, Sixers. It will look what happens when Embiid comes back, and then and the real James Harden showed up yesterday.
Yeah, no kidding. I think that's probably, obviously, after game three, you're feeling pretty solid if you're a Sixers fan that, Embiid's holding up health-wise. But then, obviously, yeah, you get James Harden to show up yesterday in game four for probably arguably the best moment that he's had with the Sixers, I would say, since he's came over. So as far as if you can rely on that consistently, I'm not sure. But I think with it tied 2-2, I think you got to feel good that you're going to at least get that type of performance once, if not twice, out of 3 games. I don't think you can, feel consistent that he's going to play that well for 3 straight games. I mean, we haven't really seen that from him in the playoffs, let alone since he's come over to the Sixers, that type of consistency. So I think this one goes 7-2 if you're asking me as far as Philly and Miami's concerned.
Marty asking a bunch of questions here. Keep them coming, brother. Yes, Nashville, just tough matchup. The Avs have a chip on their shoulder, and not justice. I should say, the cream rising to the top here. If you could steal one and let the Avs win it in 5, it is what it is. You get them for next year. As for Ja and Memphis, Ja is out. The line is 10. I know regular season, and shout out to our buddy Julian Edlow of DraftKings. He pointed it out too. Memphis had a great regular season record without Ja.
Yeah.
And they were phenomenal. But as he pointed out, this is the playoffs, and you didn't face Golden State at Golden State.
Right. No, that's totally it. I mean, I personally, I've told you my stance with these games when you have a big injury like that, I typically just stay away. But I can't, I'm drawing a blank on what it was, but it was something, I know at one point it was something along the lines of like 14-2. So it's not even some, small sample size. It's a massive sample size of success without him. And you're getting Dylan Brooks back after him, having the game 3 suspension. So I think, if he was also out, I think that would be a really tough hill to climb. But, getting him back in some, obviously, probably making it a little bit gritty after what he did and just kind of being that type of player in general. I kind of lean towards the Grizzlies plus the 10 given the success they've had without Ja. I'm not going to sit here and say they win. And like I said, I don't know if I'll be taking the spread or not, but I definitely lean that way as far as the 10.5 that I've seen so far.
All right. One day dark here, and it feels like I haven't been on for a week here, and we're just trying to play catch up. So I'm going to give you the stage right now. There's a nice slate out there. There's actually 2-day baseball games. We have Celtics, Milwaukee. They really didn't talk about Celtics. Obviously, are down 2-1. I'll tell you exactly where my eyes are here. Milwaukee opened up 3-point favorites in game 3, and miraculously the Celtics cover the first 5. They were actually first half line. They were actually leading, and the Celtics plus 2.5 cover the hook, and that was the closing line today. I'm showing Wager Talk saying the line opened at 1.5. It didn't. Milwaukee opened up at 1. I know what Vegas where Vegas is leaning here, but I'm going to give you the stage to let you talk about today's games.
Yeah, as far as Boston and Milwaukee's concerned, I'm obviously curious what you're closer to that situation than I am. I give the edge there to the team that's more desperate with how tight this series has been. I lean towards the Celtics with a little bit of a desperation edge to them in this one, and what I think should be another scrappy, close game down to the wire again. So that's where my head's at with as far as the NBA is concerned. I already mentioned I'm leaning towards Memphis, but I'm not in love with it. You mentioned going to Golden State in the playoffs is a different beast. So I'm going to stay away from that one. But as far as where my eyes lit up the most is honestly not taking a side in Cleveland and my White Sox here in the Windy City, but I'm interested in the total in Cleveland and at my White Sox here on the South Side under 7.5. Zach Plesac, Michael Kopech. Total was at 7.5 in this one. I think Kopech should continue to be great in this game as he's been all throughout the season. And the White Sox, despite the 6-game winning streak, Jeff, they've failed to climb over 4 runs in any of those 6 games. And so I think 4 might be the magic number here again tonight. And whether it's the Sox or Cleveland, I think the magic number is going to be 4 here tonight. Plesac on their side of things for Cleveland, he's actually been pretty solid for Cleveland when they faced my White Sox. His dad, Dan Plesac, was a former White Sox. Zach grew up about an hour or less than an hour, I think, from Chicago. So I think he grew up a White Sox fan. So it's always, if you care about that type of angle, it's always one that he's more motivated on. But besides that, big wins in, believe it or not, in the Windy City, we've got big wins. As from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be blowing in tonight. So we get Yohan Moncada back, as I mentioned, but the bottom half of this lineup, beyond Abreu and Robert and Anderson, still isn't hitting. So I personally believe, like I mentioned, I think the winner of this game is going to have 3-4 runs, and obviously if that's the case, we're staying under 7.5. So that's been the one that's lit up my eyes the most so far here today.
I'll dive right into the Celtics and Milwaukee. Again, go back to Friday, right? They played Friday?
Saturday, I think. Saturday, yeah.
They needed the 4 or 5 days off. I forgot.
Right.
That line opened at 3 for a reason. Vegas made a stance and basically said to you, we expect Milwaukee to win there. It closed at 2.5, lands on 2. Vegas opens Milwaukee -1. So what are they telling you? Well, to be honest with you, we think the Celtics are going to win today, even though it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
But we're putting our stake in the Celtics. So come by Milwaukee -1, 1.5. Anyone that wants to jump on the Buck train today, I'm not going to talk you off of it, but just do me a favor. Play the money line. Don't leave 1 or 1.5 on the table and get hooked again. For me, my eyes are telling me the Celtics win. They even this series at 2-2. This looks like it's going to be who has the ball last in Game 7. Is it going to be a Giannis fourth quarter takeover? And which looked like it was going to be versus the Heat. And at this point now, with that series tied 2-2, that could be a 7-game series as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think both of those series go 7 games. I don't think either two in the West go 7 games, just to stay on that topic at least. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't know if it goes seesaw back and forth 1-1 with whoever the more desperate team is, looking for the win, or if maybe once they go, I think it's because that still is 2-2, 1-1-1. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I should know that off the top of my head. But going back to Boston for Game 5, maybe Boston takes it, and then you get Milwaukee for 6, and then Boston back for 7. But I'm with you, man. I already put a little wager on the Celtics here today. So I'm with you. I think they even it up here tonight.
And we have the Celtics. We waited till after they lost Game 1. We got them at +130 right now in the series. Yeah. I think it's a good spot for them to even this series and maybe to get in there and steal a unit there. So we'll be looking potentially at the Celtics. Memphis Golden State again. That's such a overinflated line. Opened at 9, now 10. It's actually 10.5 at our friends at South Point and Caesars. Probably will stay away from that. Listen, you beat a team by 30 and now you're 10-point favorites. Hey, listen, I'm not knocking Golden State. The whole world is getting ready for Golden State and Phoenix. Just don't tell the Mavs that. And right. So we'll see what happens there. In the bases today, nothing really jumped out at me. You might want to try to tiptoe into the Dodger Express first five minus the hook. The problem is that the tax is too high there,
Right.
so staying away from there. Cincinnati, who has now won two games in a row and now have five wins in the season, um, facing Woodruff. The thing with Cincinnati is Castillo's first start this year. You don't know what you're going to get. He has been electric in the past. He has had command issues and he could be walking the park. Is he going to give you 2 or 3 innings? Is he going to give you 40, 50, 60 pitches? I don't know. I think a lot of people will be trying to get into Milwaukee first five, Milwaukee run lines. It opened at 180 and it's now 151. So if you want to get into the first five, the tax won't be that high as well there. Miami, Arizona, Hernandez versus Castellanos opened at 130, now 109. That was a correction. Tough game there. Miami's gotten its sea legs back, but just right now at 13 and 15, and Arizona surprisingly at 15 and 14 right there. So that's kind of surprising. A lot of talk last night on Sirius Radio about this next game. Cubs and Padres, Hendricks versus Gore. A number that opened at 145, now 160. I don't like the opening number, which I think should have been a lot higher. I think it should have opened at 160, to be honest with you. So whether that was a correction overnight or the actual sharp play, I do lean Gore first five minus the hook there. The tax isn't that bad there. The chalk of the day is San Fran and Rondon versus
Hmm.
Gomber. And the Rockies. Rondon has just been absolute lights out. Obviously, any way you try to get into this game, the tax is too high there as well. Oakland, Detroit. Good. Eileen Blackburn, he's been very, very well. He's pitched very well for them. Detroit with Pineda opened at 140, now 120. I would try to sneak in a Blackburn first five here. I think that's sneaky there. Both teams offensively challenged and under over a seven there. Going to your game, Please Act versus Kopak. Uh, I will say this. I think it was like last Monday. Kopech was facing the Cubs. It was the second
Yeah.
game of doubleheader, and the Cubs starting pitching was changed, and all of a sudden, all this late money was coming in the Cubs. I leave Kopech first five on the desk, and I think it was 3-0 first five. Just trust me on this one. If we have Kopech first five today, it won't be left on the desk.
Won't be left on the desk. And I think the White Sox take care of business. I think Kopech holds them down. Like I said, under 7.5 is my play on this one. I personally just didn't. I wasn't willing to eat that much chalk on minus 180. Excuse me, not the Indians. Cleveland has always played us tough, obviously, and I mentioned 6-game winning streak, but have not gone over 4 runs offensively for the White Sox. So that's the main reason why I was staying away from any type of action on the White Sox themselves. Although I'm with you, I think Kopech is great tonight, and I think Plesac has just held us down a handful too many times to where I kind of expected it again with the way our offense is going. So I think you're on the right side with Kopech for sure. I'm not going to hate on you for that, but I like the under 7.5, or even I'm not sure what the first five number is, but even any first five under action for sure too.
Tampa Bay and the Angels, Springs versus Syndergaard. I don't know a lot about Springs. I'll be talking to Scotty tonight when we do the closing bell. He's from Tampa. He'll be giving us the update. But two teams playing great baseball. Tampa 18 and 11, the Angels 19 and 11. Syndergaard, a lightning rod, opened up at 120, now 131. A game that I will most likely stay away from.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the question marks with Springs is there. And also, I mean, I still kind of have a feeling out process in my own personal head of Syndergaard as far as we've already seen a slight regression here. But I personally want to see if his arm holds up here through the next couple of months of the season. So I'm going to be taking him with a grain of salt for sure here, obviously with his history that he's had in his arm. So I don't really have much strong opinion on this one. What I was looking at though, as far as Springs, the only thing that I found, small sample size against the Angels, they've really beaten them up. So if you're interested in anything along those lines, then maybe this is a favorable matchup for the Angels offense. But yeah, I'm staying away from that one for sure.
Phillies go from east to west. Suarez versus Flexen. Not a big Flexen guy. He won a boatload of games last year. A lot of run support. Uh, Opened at 120, now 111. I lean Suarez here. I lean first five. I couldn't play the Phillies with your money in a full game right now.
Same thing with the Mariners as well. I think somehow quietly, I knew they've been struggling, but I didn't realize it's this bad. I think they're 1-11 their last 12 or something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. So it's looking ugly for both of these teams. And when you get into this type of stretch, before you put your money on either of these teams, let alone when they're playing each other, you almost want to see them dig themselves out of this damn hole before you put any actual money on them. Because I don't dislike Seattle for the full season, but when they're on a 1-11 stretch right now, I've got no interest in looking at them.
Texas Yankees, Gray versus Cortez. Cortez has been lights out. Line only opened at 210, now down to 205. Smells a little fishy to me. That's a little 105 action. And the next game I'll talk about is at high noon, which is actually just about to start. That is Hernandez and Wells, Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore miraculously opened up at 130, now 143. So take a Kodak picture of that. You don't see Baltimore minus 133. I don't see Jim Palmer pitching. I don't see Mike Boddicker pitching. Even Mr. Means pitching. That's kind of an eye opener.
Or maybe a little Manny Machado in their lineup or anything like that. Not happening either. But yeah, I mean, I think it was either Thursday or Friday. You and I talked about this Orioles team has been decent, but I'm not really interested in laying any chalk with this team right now. At least against this Royals team isn't very good, but they're not complete doormats by any means. So I think they've split 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, so far. So I think it should be a closer line than that for sure.
Going to go down the pucks quickly, guys. Just give you updated. The ECSI has the Pens basically minus 105 to win this series. And they're up 2-1. What really shocked me was the Rangers opened up minus 120 or 125 in game 3, which I was asking all my colleagues. I reached out even to Andrew. I'm like, what the hell's up with this? And he goes, I don't know. I'm just going to sit back and watch and enjoy it. And the Pens get up 4-1. They pull Shagurkin or whatever his name is. Apologies there for the butcher on that name. And they tied it 4-4, and they eventually lose the game. But tonight, again, the Rangers open up minus 115, now 114. To all the ECSI VIP guys, again, we're up 2-1 with the Pens. In my eyes, this is, again, another free swing with the Rangers. If they lose, Pens are up 3-1. You just sit back and wait till they eventually, God willing, win the series. But the Rangers opening up at 115. Vegas, again, went with them on game 3. They're again leaning with them on game 4 there. Florida, Washington. Listen, guys, Washington's up 2-1. Kind of a must win for the Panthers. Panthers opened up minus 180, now minus 190, now 180 there. I expect a lot of public and DGen money on the Panthers, minus a goal and a half, maybe minus the puck line in the first period. What else? Maybe puck line.
Win in regulation, maybe.
Regulation, yeah. So that was that. Our buddy Marty talked about Nashville, minus 250 for the Avs. Do they have enough to just steal one, of the Avs just want to rip the heart rate out of them and end the series and get ready for the next round there? And the Stars, 2-1 right now against Calgary. Calgary opens up at 160, now 155. Kind of a must win there. Last night in our 4-team Mother's Day special parlay, we were all over the Kings that came in plus 140. Parlay didn't cash though. But as I said, after Edmonton lost game 1 in that series, Vegas only had that series at Edmonton minus 115 after one game. So when they tied it up 1-1, I still said in my head, I think it's a split in LA, and it was. So as you said, they come back 2-2 there. A lot of overs coming flying in the playoffs right now. Pulling the goalies early, nothing, no chance to win unless we score the next goal. So these coaches aren't afraid of doing that. Any total or anything in the NHL that might kind of catch your eye, Riley?
Yeah, whether or not the total catches my eye, as far as Colorado, I feel like in Game 3, if Nashville was gonna show any signs of life, I have to think it would have been in Game 3. I after the whomping that they took in that game, I'm losing. I don't have much faith in them tonight. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like Florida and Washington might be the one that I'm a little interested in as far as an over in that one for sure. Despite it up to at 6.5 there. I could see one way or another. I think kind of how you're saying. I think that's going to be a spot where one of these teams is going to be down and pulling their goalie early, especially if it's Florida. Obviously, you don't want to go down 3-1, so they might be, depending on where they're at and where the game's at, they might be on that quick trigger to pull them and try and get back in that game if there's 4 or 5 minutes left and they're down. You know what I mean?
That was a quick recap of the weekend and a quick slate of a quick little telling you guys where the market is in the NBA, in the MLB. One game just starting and one coming on at 1 o'clock. And then obviously the NHL tonight. Myself and Scott will be back. I'm not sure exactly what time, maybe 5-ish, 5:30 for the closing bell. I'm waiting for confirmation there. I just confirmed Wednesday at 10 a.m. we will have Julian Edlow of DraftKings
Nice.
on. So we're excited for that. Um, and not sure if we will double down and have our weekly 1 o'clock with Mr. Andrew McGinnis of Wager Talk as we cross the border talking pucks, props, and whatever there. Closing thoughts, Mr. Riley.
Yeah, I think the only thing we didn't touch on, a little golf action this weekend. Max Homa outlasts everybody in that one. I am barely positive on my restart to the blog. Had Keegan Bradley top 20, so that was a nice winner there. Crazy UFC night. I'm not an expert in UFC by any means, but I at least follow it and have a little action here and there. Charles Oliveira gets I've never seen this. Like I said, I haven't followed it my entire life. I've been following it closely the last 5 years. Charles Oliveira gets his title stripped on the damn scale, and then obviously comes out and that was a crazy start to that fight, but he obviously takes care of business again. That man is a cold-blooded killer, and it's an interesting situation. I mean, the belt is vacated, but he's still going to be the number one contender, and he's going to be fighting for the belt again now. So on paper, yeah, he's still the champ for everyone's sake. I mean, and nobody's beating that man anytime soon, in my opinion. The co-main event was just a weird scrap between Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza. If you watch that one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in my entire life. Just lack of action going on at all. And just a bizarre strategy from the champ and Rose, and it was just really bizarre. And it's impossible to make a decision. So if anyone's upset at the decision, you have to just be upset at whoever you had as your fighter. And then Michael Chandler with one of the craziest knockouts we'll see all year. If you haven't seen it, obviously go check it out. With the front kick to the face of Tony Ferguson, who was showing signs of life. Tony's obviously been looking like he's on the decline of his career. He was showing some serious signs of life, but then obviously took one to the chin quite literally. So solid, entertaining night of fights. Obviously, that's the biggest one we'll have here for the next month or so. But yeah, man, good weekend of action. Awesome Saturday with the Derby as well. Crazy finish there. I didn't have any winning action either on my side of things either. But yeah, from someone who just enjoys watching it a couple times a year, it was definitely delivered on its promises there on Saturday.
And I forgot to add our ECSI accountant and good friend, Mr. Scott Kelly. He sends me his tickets, and what he did, hats off to him. He took the 5 longest shots, put $20 on them, and he had them top 3 from where he places his action. So he had plus 600 on Rich Strike
Yeah,
to win that to finish in the top
nice,
3. So
nice.
he cashes there. So like I said, everyone was cashing but me. It's
Well,
just part of
yeah.
racing.
No, it is part of it. And like I said, I'm not well versed in it by any means. To compare it to the golf tournament, I kind of missed out. I took Lahiri on a long shot, just a tiny little sprinkle to win. But I probably would have had some nice odds if I took him top 10 to just a nice little cushion. But I only took him outright because I think he finished tied for 6th. It was a solid weekend for him, but left some money on the table there. But like I said, still positive for us. And PGA Championship in 2 weeks, so it's going to be a good stretch of golf here coming down the pipe.
Glad you brought that up. We're in talks with Mr. Ron Mintz, a good friend of us, great follow if you're not following Ron. does great work on the PGA and had a busy weekend. His son got married. Congratulations there. And we're hoping to bring him on. I think that following week, we're going to skip the Byron Nelson, obviously, and get ready for the PGA. So I think next week, we'll have a lot of golf talk with some guests, and you and I will be hitting it up pretty good as well there. You talked about the UFC. It's just a great time to be alive. It's a great sports stretch here with the NHL, with the NBA playoffs. You got the daily grind of baseball. You just had the Derby. In 2 weeks, we'll be talking the Preakness, excuse me. Next week, the PGA Championship, and the list is endless, my friend.
Yeah, I can't wait. And if you're looking for some Byron Nelson, solid field this weekend. So I'll have another blog coming out. Should be tomorrow for the Byron Nelson with a nice big field in that one, getting ready for the PGA. So, yeah, you said it, man. Awesome time to be alive for a sports fan. So, no complaints here. The weather's heating up here in the Windy City. So, the smiles are back out. The coats are in the closets for now. Yeah, we're going to get rocking and rolling here. I can't wait.
Thank everyone that watched, listened. We had a great following live today. If anyone is not a subscriber to our YouTube or Twitch channel, please jump over there to East Coast Sports Investors. Just hit the subscribe button. It's free. And then you can smash the like button. You can tell a neighbor's neighbor, a cousin, a friend, or whatever. We're really building something pretty big here, and there's some big stuff brewing, God willing, and we'll keep you in the mix there. Great stuff as always, Riley. Much appreciated. Myself and Riley will be back tomorrow morning. Trying to get back to that 10:30 schedule. Have a couple guests in the back home, I should say. So it was a little tough to stir the roost, as I should say, but we'll keep you updated on times there. Myself and Scott will be back tonight for the closing bell, 5:30ish. I will update on the timeline there. But always remember this, friends. If you are wagering or investing today, please do it responsibly. If you need help, there is help available. There's an 800 number. Call it. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson1. We wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun with these games, and we will see you soon.